He said he was gonna call.
Yes, he did.
This conference will now be recorded.
Okay.
Recording both YouTube and this.
You want me to go ahead and start?
It's up to you, Mr. Chair. We have a quorum, so we can start.
We'll now call the May 26th meeting of the Planning Commission. Roll call.
Fisher,
Here, remotely.
Schultz,
Here.
McPherson,
Here.
Manson,
Present remotely.
Garrett,
Here.
Templin,
We just-
Lane. All right. Apparently Commissioners Templin and Lane are not present.
Okay.
You just have somebody join MR. Don't know who that
Under
is.
general business, item A, approve the Planning Commission agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda. I'll second it.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Item B, approve minutes of the Planning Commission meeting held on April the 28th, 2020.
Manson makes a motion to approve.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Item C, disclosure of conflict of interest. Does anybody have any conflicts of interest to report?
Manson, none.
Fisher, none.
McPherson, none. Schultz, none.
Garrett, none. Item D, disclosure of outside communications regarding commission business. Do we have any?
Manson, none.
Fisher, none.
Schultz, none. McPherson, none.
Garrett, none. Item 4, call the public. Members of the public who wish to address the planning commission regarding items not on the agenda may do so at this time. Any presentation is for information purposes only and no action will be taken. There's a 4-minute time limit. Do you have anybody?
Hey, Bob, I would like to address the Planning Commission.
Is it planning commission business or is it something different?
It's a public concern. Is that possible? Can I address it, or do I have to have somebody address it?
Now, is that Tim speaking? It's hard to tell who's
This is
speaking.
Tim, yes.
That's Tim.
Okay, sure. Well, it's up to the chair. You.
Okay, here's my concern. Okay, I'm looking for a building lot in DeSoto, which I found one. We made an offer on it, but then I found out it's Oak Country Phase 8. The only concern I have is there's a gentleman that parks his semi-truck at the main entrance of that housing development, and I don't want to give $100,000 for a lot, and then when I pull out of my housing development, I'm running into a semi-truck. Is there any way we can move that truck or have it moved or have the guy park in front of his house instead of the housing development? Or that's the only concern I have.
Tim, we're gonna take that up with the council at the June 4th council meeting. Had a complaint there from the neighbor who lives right there where the semi trucks park. This has come up a couple of times over the last 20 years, and actually, believe it or not, DeSoto doesn't appear to have a restriction on commercial parking commercial vehicles in residential areas.
Okay, well, I think we need to address that.
Yeah, we're going to. A lot of the others, most other cities around do have that prohibition, so we will, and we'll be following up with that on June 4th with the council.
Okay, well, I was just told there's nothing we could do about it, and it falls in city code, so I'm just like, well, gosh. So, okay.
Yeah. Currently, there isn't. It's not a violation right now, but I agree, and I think most people would that it should be. So,
Well, have a guy parking in front of his house. He's got room.
well, yeah, that'd still be that'd be legal now. He lives just in the block north there.
Yes. Okay. That's all I have.
Okay, thanks, Tim.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else?
Templin showed up.
Oh, good, Roger.
Hi, guys. Hello.
Hello.
Sorry I'm late.
Okay, item number 4, public hearing none. Item number 6, old business none. Item 7, new business. Consider final plat for Carriage House Phase 9. Fred?
All right, thank you, Chairman. What you have before you is the final plat for Carriage Houses number 9. In January of 2019, the Carriage Houses somewhat revised their site plan for buildings X, Y, and Z. So those were approved. And building X has been built, completed, and sold. All those items are individual units have been sold. So to get started on phase 9, they need approval for the final plat for building Y. And then once building Y has been, at least the walls are up and the partitions are inside, then they'll have to do a final plat on or replat for individual square footage, but the first step in the process is a final plat to allow them to get the building permit for building Y. You have the application in your packet. Also, the final plat has been submitted, and also in your packet is the development plan for the structures I'd mentioned, X, Y, and Z. Went through our standard review, and it's in compliance with the previous development or with the current development plan for these buildings. With that, I will stand for any questions that you might have. It's like I said, this is the ongoing and continuing development.
Same thing we've had in the past.
Yeah, how long is this? 10 years has this been running, Mike?
At least, yeah, closer to 15, I think.
So,
I think I saw the first one.
no, there's actually one more. There'll be 10 buildings when they're complete.
Hey, this is Roger. I've got a question. Do they have access to Gardner Road already? Is there already a road that connects the rest of that to Gardner Road?
Well, what I would say there, I think there's a gate there. It's not called a road. Is a bit of a stretch. I mean, there's a paved or a gravel kind of graded surface, but it's certainly not something that the members would drive any of their vehicles there.
I think that was put in for construction equipment to come through there.
In emergency.
Yeah.
Yeah, is that the spot where they right now have access, where it's indicated on the plat?
Well, there is some access there, but of course the main entrance where people come and go with their vehicles, et cetera, is off of 83rd Street. But as Mike pointed out, it is, and Chairman pointed out, it's a construction sort of emergency vehicular access if needed.
The reason I'm asking if that's already existing is because it seems kind of a weird alignment how you come in off of Gardner Road and basically hit Building Z and have to take a right or a left. It's kind of a strange alignment, but I thought maybe that was because that's where the existing curb cut was or something that allowed them to get on the property there.
No, there's no curb cuts there. It's just a secondary access gravel road. Yeah, there is a gate there.
They bring in there, they have a hard time getting through the front gate.
Yeah. Well, I just was wondering about the alignment there. It just seemed a little weird. They wouldn't do that line between the two buildings, just bring it down a little further, I guess, to the south.
I'm assuming once that's all done, it'll just be emergency only, because they come through that.
Is that right?
Right.
So that gate's supposed to be for emergency only, you say?
Yeah, right. In the final development plan, that gate, and I'm pretty sure that tube was put in. It wasn't there before anything, but it was put in, I don't know, 10 years ago or so, as a construction entrance. So that's kind of why it's where it is. And the long-term plan is that it's just for construction, but then also emergency access, like fire department, whatever. But the patrons won't use that at all. They'll still use the automated gate off 83rd.
But that's not called out anywhere on the final development plan, right? I don't see it anywhere.
Yeah, it's shown. So this, I think I was sharing my screen here. It's shown on the final development plan as an entrance.
As an emergency?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm not sure if we have the right page up here or not, but the access is shown, but it's clearly it's not a public, there's no gate, there's no public access there.
Just thought it was interesting.
Anything else, Roger?
No, I'm good with it. I mean, I think it's been a successful development, and it looks like they've done a nice job with it. It seemed like kind of a strange alignment for me, but who am I to say? I guess they can build what they want to build, and if everybody thinks that's okay. I can't imagine that most people would want to access it from Gardner Road because it's gravel. I'd probably prefer not to go on Gardner Road. So I don't know if that's a huge problem, and I certainly don't think we're planning on paving Gardner Road anytime soon, are we?
No, we're not.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
I
have
don't
no
see,
objection
just
to it.
from a flow standpoint, I don't see a big problem. Even if it was eventually to be paved and that to become an entrance, I mean, there's no place in this whole thing you can go straight through. You're always,
Yeah, I suppose that's right.
it's not really that it's not that drastic a turn to come in and take one way or the other there.
Yeah. Sure.
Anybody else have any other questions for staff?
No.
Entertain a motion.
Make a motion that we approve the final plat for Carriage House at number 9.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Manson,
Manson, yes.
Templin,
Yes.
Fisher,
Yes.
McPherson,
Yes.
Schultz,
Yes.
Chairman.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioners. The motion carries.
Okay, item B, consider site plans for custom foods. Fred?
All
Hey,
right.
Bob, before you go there, this is Roger. I missed the opportunity to say if you had any communications with anybody. I talked to Dave Anderson briefly about this. I don't know that he had anything salient to observe. He just had mentioned that this was coming before the Planning Commission, but I feel like it's important I tell you that at least talk to Dave about it. I don't really know what Dave's involvement is with it, but I just thought I should say that.
Involvement with what now?
The shed for custom foods.
Oh, okay.
He just had mentioned it to me. I don't know why, but he did. So.
Okay, thank you. Fred?
Sure.
All right, thank you, Chairman. You have an application for including a 30 by 40 storage shed at 9101 Commerce Drive. It's in the rear of the Custom Foods property. The property is currently zoned M1 Light Industrial, and in accordance to Soto Code, any change or addition to the site plan requires Planning Commission approval. Therefore, Custom Foods has submitted a site plan application. And we'll follow up a little bit, Roger. Dave Anderson spoke to me about it several times. I'm not sure if he was kind of helping shepherd this thing through, but since then,
he didn't really tell me what his role was. Yeah.
since then, it's been turned over to Justin Milburn of Milburn Engineering, and they're the ones that completed all the drawings and did some of the engineering work for the location of the site plan themselves. So with that, We did do our review of the project. Does meet all the setbacks that are required in the M1 district. The structure itself it's a metal building, and it'll be more tailored towards the more industrial sort of production side of the facility. That's sort of wraps around the complex. It's not going to match the administrative building at all. It's going to match the production side of things. We did ask for just a little bit of information on the building itself. They did provide some basic information, the color, and then there's a cut sheet that also shows the material itself, the type of metal that the building will be. There won't be any mechanical equipment, so there isn't any screening necessarily needed for that. The utilities will be underground and will just be lighted. There won't be any HVAC or anything like that involved with the building. Don't see any need for any pedestrian access. And then the stormwater, as stated, the site it drains directly into the 100-year floodplain, and therefore development, the discharge doesn't need to have stormwater detention for that reason. There won't be any additional employees added due to this building, so there won't be any changes to the parking requirements. They already exceed our parking requirements. I have actually been back to the site and looked at it. Don't see any issues with loading or unloading. They do have adequate space, and there won't be any impacts to any traffic patterns. They're not anticipating or proposing any sign regulations, and if there were, they would have to get those approved through our building department as far as the signs. And then the landscaping requirements, they do have to add a couple of trees based upon the site plan application, which they have added on their drawing. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I will stand for any questions that you all may have.
Are there any questions for Brad or Mike? Roger, you have any?
Yeah, I've got one, of course, Bob. You know me. This is interesting because it's kind of like an ancillary building, but I guess we don't really have a way to analyze that other than we do just any existing structure in this zone. There isn't like an ancillary building criteria or anything like that because, I mean, there's no services in this, no utilities other than power, I guess, and it just seems kind of a strange process for doing this for an ancillary building, but maybe I'm missing something.
Yeah, no, I don't think you're missing something. We thought the same. So when you read our regs, you can expand a building by up to 50% without getting a site plan. If they just added on a similar square footage to the existing building, it wouldn't be before you. But there's no such exemption for accessory buildings. This regs just say that if you're going to add an accessory building to a site, it has to be approved through a site plan application through the planning commission. So that's kind of where we are.
I guess another thing I might add, Roger.
It might be a good topic for discussion.
Yeah, I guess one thing else I might add is this process. I mean, they had proposed some different locations on the site, and when we're talking about those different locations, they're saying, well, definitely you're going to need to have a site plan review on some of them, especially the ones that they talked about in front. And so it was sort of left that, you know, you really need to bring us a proposal on a site plan application after, several discussions about the location of the building itself. So, and they were not interested in any kind of just addition to their existing structure.
Well, other than to note that it may be a good subject to talk about when we talk about reviewing regs at some point, think about whether we, some other alternative provision for an accessory structure on commercial property so that they don't have to come back and do a full site plan on it might be useful. But I got no problem with what they're proposing.
You make a note of that, Brad?
Yep.
Okay. Are there any other questions for staff? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
Manson makes a motion to recommend approval of the site plan for Custom Foods.
We have a motion.
Fish.
I think Fisher seconded.
Did Fish- Jim, did you second that?
Yeah, I second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Templin,
Yes.
McPherson,
Yes.
Schultz,
Yes.
Fisher,
Yes.
Manson,
Manson, yes.
Chairman.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioners. The motion carried.
Okay. Okay, that concludes our new business for tonight. Does anybody have any questions that they want to bring up? Any questions for staff on anything going on here in town?
Hey, how long are building permits active before you do something about it?
Well, that's a loaded question.
Just curious. There's a building that's in a very high visibility location that
Yeah.
seems to be sitting stagnant for the last maybe 10 months.
Yeah.
So just curious.
We're talking about Jake's Fireworks. Yeah, typically building permits are technically good for 6 months, and we generally grant extensions for that pretty liberally. It's just we are in no way control of their schedule, and don't know at this point at least. We've been able to work with them enough to keep the visual impacts and the practical impacts of the construction site to a point where we could live with them, I guess. Now, their facade being ripped off the building every time the wind blows doesn't help. But our latest communications with them was that they really want to be open by this 4th of July, as they wanted to be open last 4th of July. They have to put that road in and do some landscaping stuff. I don't,
Get rid of that big pile of dirt.
they need to work. Yeah, they need to do some work. But so to answer your question, it's 6 months with, I think they've been granted a 6-month extension to this point. I couldn't swear to it, though.
Okay, I was just curious.
I understand.
They can't get their
share-
occupancy permit until they get that road in, though, right?
Oh, no. Yeah, no. Occupancy permits, right. Yeah, the road has to be there. Landscaping has to be there. There are a number of other things. They got to fix that facade. A number of other things that need to be completed.
Okay.
Hey, Mike, while we're talking about Jake's Firework, when they brought that building up for approval, that facade, it was supposed to be a metal, stamped metal. It wasn't going to be like a fiber like they got flapping in the wind now.
Yeah,
I was under the impression it was going to be metal stamped, and that's what we were told at the Planning Commission meeting.
Actually, I my recollection was exactly like yours was, that it was supposed to be a architectural metal stamp thing with graphics on it, and I would have bet my paycheck on it. So it came up at the council meeting last week, and so I went back and looked at that Planning Commission meeting when we talked, and the applicant said on a number of occasions, this is a vinyl fabric product. And I think it was Todd that had some experience with that. And on the site plan, it's not specific as to whether it's metal or vinyl. It just says an architectural screen, something of that nature. So the verbiage on the site plan wasn't enough, but the discussion at the meeting was, yeah, it's a vinyl product. I was as surprised as you might be right now hearing that, but it's true. You can go back and look at it. I did follow up with an email to the council with that on Friday, and so I'll forward that to all of you as well. It timestamps that video discussion from the Planning Commission meeting. I think, though, it sounds like the owner's getting a little fed up with the product because it's been ripped in half twice now. So they might come up with some other solution that's a little more substantial, but if nothing else, we do have code provisions that allow us to enforce issues where the siding is ripped up or wrinkled or bent or unsightly. So, yeah, I mean, if you're surprised to hear that, I was too. So,
Okay, that's what I thought. So, okay, well, thanks.
Yep.
Yeah, Tim, I might add, I think the situation's gonna rectify itself because, as Mike pointed out, I've talked to them several times, as has our building department. They're just having troubles. Actually, the fabric hasn't torn, it pulls away from the frame, and it's gotta be wedged back into the frame to be held in place. And, I mean, the product's been used in several areas around the metropolitan area, and I went and actually looked at it when we were talking about it several times. The Prairie Fire Museum in Overland Park has it, and they haven't had one bit of problem with it, but that's just kind of how it sits there.
Sounds like it might be an installation issue.
Yeah. Anyway, they've told me that they're getting tired of messing with it, and they'll probably take it down sometime soon and put up a metal type facade.
Any other questions for staff?
Because I think actually they fixed it a couple of days ago, and it's blown out.
Blown already?
Yeah.
I guess the June 4th council meeting will be televised.
It will, yeah. We'll YouTube broadcast that as well, and it'll be GoToMeeting just like tonight.
Okay.
Why, you planning something, Bob?
No.
we are gonna be making some decisions about opening. Primarily, the pool is the biggest topic we're kicking around right now. And with the governor's announcement today, we don't know what the county is going to do in response to that. So it changes every day. I'm tired of making long-term plans. I think we'll just have a plan for 1 week at a time and just leave it at that.
Okay, then our next meeting is June 23rd. Hope to see everybody here at that time.
Maybe.
I hope.
Maybe.
Motion to adjourn.
Yes.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Yeah.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you all.
Have a good evening, everybody.
Stop the recording.
This conference is no longer being recorded.